Okay guys, we are going to take a closer look at journaling, and we're going to try this squiggle watercolor wash and salt. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to gather our supplies. So the things you're going to need: you're going to need your journal, you're going to need some black pens or Sharpies. Okay, Sharpies would be best. You're going to have watercolor, you're going to have a paintbrush, palette, we're gonna have some salt, and we're gonna have paper towel, okay? So I always like to have those things handy. It's just regular table salt, okay? So I'm going to start, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my journal, and I'm gonna open up to whatever page I'm on, okay? So I wanna see if that's working. And the first step in this technique is to draw small shapes on the page using a chisel tip marker. So I can use circles, squares, triangles, whatever shape you want. I'm gonna do this kind of teardrop shape. 1, 2, and I'm trying to fill up my page. So something you might want to think about is getting those shapes to come all the way off the page or to touch the edge of your paper, right? So if your shapes don't touch the edge of the paper, let's make them touch the edge. And if I'm not sure where I want to go next, maybe I'll go right there, okay? So I have a couple of shapes on my page, all right? And then you can use a fine tip marker to make a thin outline around my shape. So I have a thicker marker, and now I'm gonna take a thinner marker and go around the outside. And you decide how much space you want there. Okay, I'm gonna add that little extra. And if you drew the shapes and you didn't go off to the edge, now's where you could draw a line that goes to the bottom. I'm gonna start the line out here this time, and then come around. And I'm gonna do the line here, and come around. So just starting with that little bit, I already have my page filled. Everything's going from edge to edge. I'm gonna bring this all the way to the edge of the paper. Okay. And then you allow your lines, they can be imperfect, they can be a little wonky. You can draw wonky lines from the top of the page to each of your shapes, kind of like I did here. And now the next step, after you're satisfied with this, like I like this, I think I might want to even do a line inside. That's just me. For these bigger ones, I think I want them to have a skinny line on the inside. And these two. But you don't have to do that. It's up to you. You feel it when you do your work. You decide what you want. So I'm gonna leave those like that. Now is time for my watercolor wash. So you gotta think about color, right? So the watercolors are set up, and these are kind of messy, but they put colors next to each other that work together. So you have your cooler colors, you have your warmer colors. You can do opposite colors. It's really up to you. So I'm gonna take a little bit of water, and I'm gonna go with a little bit of a light wash of a little yellow. One of the things you can do when you're using watercolor is you can go right on the page, right? I'm gonna just put a wash in here. So a wash isn't super thick, right? And I don't have to be perfect about it. I'm gonna put this wash, but if I want it to get lighter, I would add water to it. So I could just add water to this, and it's gonna make it go a little bit lighter, right? So I've got that kind of light wash. And I'm gonna leave the inside of this, I'm gonna try. See, I got a little messy here. I'm gonna try to leave the inside of this white. So I'll go maybe right along the edge, but the inside part's gonna be white. Okay, I want this to get a little darker, so I'm gonna add, while it's wet, I'm gonna add a little bit of this like red orange. Ooh, that's a little browner than I expected, but that's okay. So if you feel like you're getting too much water or it's getting away from you, you can have another brush handy. You can use your paper towel. Okay. And we're just sort of experimenting. So I want this to transition into another color. So I'm gonna bring this down, and now I'm gonna plop in a totally different color. I'm gonna get this dark purple. I'm gonna see how that goes. Okay. All right. So we've got this dark purple. I'm gonna add a little blue to it. There we go. That's more of what I want. And I have a ton of water on my brush and on my page. So if you are working like that, what's gonna happen is you might have a little less control. If you want more control of it, that's where your paper towel comes in. You can dry off your brush a little bit, but I'm kind of digging this. So I'm gonna get it a little darker, and the reason I want it darker is because this is where I'm gonna throw in some salt, right? I'm gonna get a little darker and even add a little pink. Yes. And let these colors kind of work together. All right, so I'm gonna put this down for a second. I'm gonna grab my salt, just regular house table salt. And I'm gonna sprinkle it right on top. And you can see I really like the way it's working there. Now, I think my original colors are too dry, but the ones that I just added, it's gonna work. Okay. Hi, how are you?